Yes, you. Pause right where you are. Don't scroll. Don't click away. This is not just another video or a string of words you stumbled upon. This is divine interruption. This is heaven halting your routine. You have no idea how close this moment came to slipping past you. But someone made sure you didn't miss it. You think you're fine, don't you? You feel the quiet around you and assume it's peace. But Archangel Michael says this is not peace. It's the calm before the spiritual unraveling. There is silence inside you, but not the holy kind. This is the silence that shows up before storms break wide open. This is the silence that trembles just before something hidden begins to rise. You think you're standing still, but something has already shifted behind your back. People you trusted? They're moving pieces without you knowing. A door has been closed quietly. A name has been spoken in a room you were never invited into. And that name is yours. There are files being opened with your information. Records that carry more than dates and data, they carry plans. Not all of them written in truth. One of them was activated today. Yes, today. Mark this moment. You've been feeling uneasy. That restlessness under your ribs? That's not stress. It's spiritual alertness. Because heaven knows someone has been preparing for this exact hour. Not last week. Not next month. This day. This hour. You weren't supposed to see it coming. That's the plan of those who operate in shadow. They want your surprise to be their advantage. But God doesn't sleep, and heaven does not forget. Archangel Michael has been standing at the edge of your destiny, sword drawn, shielding what the enemy tried to claim in silence. Every time you delayed a divine message, something small was stolen from you. A joy, a spark, a relationship, a gift. You thought it was coincidence, but it wasn't. Now, they're not just after fragments. They're after the big piece, the inheritance, the legacy, the voice God gave you. The enemy knows what you carry, even if you don't. Someone is trying to manipulate your image. Even now, a photo of you is being prepared to be sent, not for admiration, but for deception. They want to twist your truth and pass it as scandal. But listen, heaven intercepted the file. It was about to be sent, and the signal froze. A glitch, a delay. They'll blame technology, but heaven calls it divine interference. You may have felt a chill today, a shiver down your spine. That wasn't fear. That was God brushing past your spirit to protect you. He doesn't need an invitation to rescue his own. He moves fast when his children are under attack. You are not imagining the dreams, the shadows you've seen, the figures, the names whispered in the dark. Those aren't just dreams. Those are spiritual briefings. Your soul has been trying to speak what your mind has ignored. There is a man from your past, long forgotten by you, but he never forgot you. He saw your calling long ago, marked it, and now, drawn by spiritual forces, he is circling back. Not by choice, but by divine push. There's movement around your home. Check the windows, not for danger, but for energy. What brushes past your curtains is not always wind. Sometimes it's a message trying to enter. Today is not a date on a calendar. Today is a divine timestamp. Someone is using your full name in a conversation with a lawyer. But what they don't realize is that your name is covered. Every syllable, every letter, marked. God placed his fingerprint on your name long before you ever knew what it would mean. And now, as men plot in secret, God reveals in the light. Your devices, your photos, heaven has watched where they've traveled. There's a group chat that was never meant to see your face. But something happened. One person saw your image and fell into silence. They saw a light in your eyes, light that exposed something in them they couldn't explain. They will look for you. They are coming, but heaven wants you prepared before they arrive. You inherited something through your bloodline, a burden, a secret, a silent weight that no one ever explained. It was passed not through words, but through the things left unsaid. A spiritual curse followed your family for 3 generations. Until now. Because you didn't skip this message. That one act, your attention, broke something. Heaven calls it the pause of power. When you pause to listen, the curse paused too. And in that moment, God rewrote the ending. Archangel Michael says, this bloodline will no longer carry what it was never meant to bear. There's a woman, Yes, a familiar voice, who spoke your name in a space she shouldn't have. She thought it was harmless, casual, but her words carried poison, and the echo will find its way back to you. Don't confront her. Let truth do its work, because betrayal does not always scream. Sometimes it whispers and cuts sharper. You were meant to crack, not collapse. But cracks that are ignored become caves. And you've ignored enough. This message is your divine interruption before the collapse. Archangel Michael stands between you and the trap. You are being awakened, activated, pulled forward. The gate in the spirit realm has opened. Something holy is stepping through it, and it's carrying your name. You don't need to panic, but you do need to prepare. You're not cursed. You were called. And this, right here, right now, is the call ringing through your soul. Will you answer? The hour is still ticking, and heaven is still watching. You think the danger has passed just because today felt quiet? No, the danger hasn't left. It's just changing form. It's no longer screaming. It's whispering, and it's whispering your name in boardrooms, courtrooms, prayer rooms, and shadowy rooms you don't even know exist. But here's the good news. Heaven is whispering louder. The same name they try to tarnish, God, is now anointing. Let me tell you something you weren't supposed to know. Someone once passed you in a crowd. You thought it was random, just a stranger. But it wasn't. That person was a carrier, not of disease, but of spiritual information. They were sent to test your field, to see if your soul still recognized spiritual danger. They walked away, but they left something behind. You felt it, didn't you? The sudden fatigue, the fog in your brain, the heaviness that clung to your chest. That wasn't the flu. It was a spiritual toxin. But now, that toxin is being flushed out. Archangel Michael has drawn his sword, not for intimidation, but for extraction. He's not just cutting off the attack, he's severing the access. Someone is holding a recording of you. They thought it would expose you. They pressed play expecting to ruin your reputation. But something shifted. Instead of exposing you, the recording revealed them. Now they don't know what to do. Delete it? They're too scared. Release it? They're even more terrified. Because now, the very trap they set is holding fire, and it's burning in their hands. Heaven calls it reverse judgment. What they meant for evil has started unraveling their own plans. Or your digital way, something strange has been happening with your phone. A number tried to access your gallery. A connection request to a cloud you never signed into. You didn't notice, but heaven did. This isn't just a digital breach. This is spiritual warfare masked as technology. Someone tried to mock you. Your photo made it into a group chat. They laughed until something unexpected happened. One person stared longer than they should have. They couldn't look away, because in your eyes, they saw something unexplainable. They saw light, and that light unsettled them, silenced them. And now, they're looking for you. But don't be afraid. Heaven is preparing you for their arrival, because this is not revenge. It's restoration. There is something buried deep inside you, something you've forgotten. A version of you that used to dream wildly, that used to feel joy in the bones. That version has been sleeping, locked away beneath the noise and the wounds. But now, it's waking up. You've been activated. Your hands may feel warm. Your chest may flutter. Your stomach may twist. Don't panic. It's not anxiety. It's awakening. Heaven is stirring what the world tried to kill. And God is saying, your purpose is not passive. Your anointing is not accidental. Your destiny is not dead. You were just in recovery, but now you're ready. There's something your family never spoke of. A contract, a decision, a silence passed down like an inheritance. It wasn't physical. It was spiritual, and it clung to the women or men in your bloodline like chains dressed in politeness. That chain, it breaks today because you didn't skip this message. You paused, and in that pause, heaven poured light into a bloodline that had only known survival. Your great-grandmother's prayers, they weren't lost. They were preserved. They didn't work back then because the conditions weren't ready. But now they are. You are. You are the generation that will see freedom, not just hope. There's a visitor approaching your life. You don't know them yet, not fully, but their spirit already knows you. They are waking up in the middle of the night, feeling pulled, restless, unsure why they're dreaming about someone they haven't met. That someone is you. This person was delayed for years, manipulated, distracted, chained to a life that wasn't aligned. But the chain snapped the moment you opened this message. They're now en route, not by plane or car yet, but by assignment. The divine orders have been given. You're going to meet them before June. But you must be prepared. You must not be entangled in anything false when they arrive. Don't go back to who you used to be. They're not coming for your old self. They're coming for the real you. Listen closely. A woman from your past is unraveling. She thought she buried the truth, but the truth never dies. And as you rise, she panics. She will make a mistake. She will speak too loud, reveal too much. But you don't need to fight her. Let heaven finish the story. You stay in alignment. Say it out loud. I choose alignment. You will feel your back straighten, because your spine remembers what your soul once knew. You were never meant to lose. This was already won. Something beneath your feet is shifting. No, it's not the ground. It's what lies under it. For months, maybe even years, they try to bury you under false stories, whispers, guilt, shame, and projections. They said your name in sarcasm. They labeled you in private. They dug a spiritual grave and hoped you'd lie in it quietly. But here's the truth they forgot. You are not soil. You are seed. They didn't bury you. They planted you. And now, the root is breaking through. There are rooms where your name was discussed. Not in admiration, but in manipulation. But what they didn't realize is that the moment your name passed through their lips, it entered God's courtroom. He heard it. He recorded it. And now he's responding. One of them tried to erase you from an opportunity. They made a call, sent a message, tried to replace your name with another. But they didn't know your name was not typed. It was inscribed, written into the story of that door. So while they tried to remove you in secret, your name was already echoing in higher rooms. And now those rooms will speak your name back to them, louder and in front of people they wanted to impress. They will have to pretend they're surprised. But heaven knows, there is someone who used to call you weak. They told others you were fragile, emotional, unstable. They laughed in rooms that used to honor you. But now they're silent, because they didn't expect you to still be standing after everything they did. But you're not just standing, you're rising. And not by force, but by favor. Heaven kept receipts of every spiritual bruise. Every time you cried and no one saw. Every betrayal that cracked your trust. God kept the list, and he's checking names. This season, it's not about revenge. It's about vindication. The ones who tried to bury your voice will hear it again. And this time, they won't be able to silence it. There's a contract. It looks harmless. It might come as a partnership, a collaboration, even a gift. But it's not what it seems. There's fine print you're not meant to read. Because the real ink wasn't legal. It was spiritual. This isn't a business move. It's a spiritual trap, designed by someone who laughs behind closed doors and calls you naive in their group chats. They don't think you read between the lines. But what they don't know is that you walk with angels. And today, those angels are blowing the cover off every line designed to bind you. You'll feel something in your chest when you're near this trap. That's not fear, it's spiritual intelligence. Listen to it. Your discernment isn't paranoia. It's prophecy in disguise. You're not just protected by words or wishes. You're shielded by light. Say it with me now. I accept the shield of light. Feel that? That's alignment settling into your bones. That's divine armor finding its place. The spirit world doesn't need explanation. It responds to command. And your spirit just issued one. Someone from a high position, someone with influence, has recently heard your name. But they didn't hear it from your lips. They heard it from someone who tried to paint you in the wrong light. They were supposed to dismiss you. But something happened. A photo, a sentence, a whisper. Something in it didn't sit right. And now, they can't get you out of their mind. They don't even know why. But heaven does. You were placed on their path by divine orchestration. And now, that person will either be part of your breakthrough or part of their own undoing. Because heaven is not playing games in this hour. Everything that was once out of reach is now moving into your proximity. But it will require one thing from you: discernment without apology. There is something embedded in your bloodline, something ancient, a pattern, a behavior. a quiet curse. No one spoke of it, but everyone lived under it. But God says, this ends with you. You are the breaker of chains. You are the interruption to every toxic cycle. You are the new page in your family's legacy. And heaven has declared your bloodline will now carry light, not silence. The inheritance is shifting. No longer guilt, no longer poverty, no longer pain. Now glory. Have you felt restless? Like the place you're in no longer fits? That's not imagination. That's prophetic compression. You are not meant to stay where you are. The discomfort is the womb of transition. Today is the first crack in the shell, and soon it will split open completely. You may feel like everything is falling apart, but in truth, everything is shifting into place. There is a relocation being written in heaven, not just physical, but positional. Your role is changing. Your rank is increasing. Your radius of influence is expanding. And those who once ignored you, they'll feel the shift without warning. Because light doesn't ask for permission. It takes up space. Archangel Michael says, the gate is not coming. It's open. The shift is not near. It's here. And you are not being left behind. You've waited long enough. You've survived too much to go back. Now the heavens are stirring. And your name is echoing in realms where doors are commanded to open. You didn't find this message by mistake. This message found you because it's time. Are you ready to walk through what others try to lock? This is not a story anymore. This is war. Not the kind you fight with fists or fury, but the kind that unfolds in silence, in whispers, in signatures, in photos, in spiritual realms where you are more known than you realize. The war for your name, your identity, your calling. It's been raging behind the veil, but now it's leaking into the visible. You've seen glimpses, felt waves, heard things you weren't supposed to hear. This is not paranoia. This is prophetic awareness. Because heaven has removed the cover. The masks are falling. The plans are surfacing. The names are about to be spoken. There is a woman who once laughed with you. She smiled with you, maybe even prayed with you. But recently, she spoke your name in the wrong place to the wrong person. She thought it would never return to you. But she forgot. Heaven listens. And her words? They're circling back now, like a wind redirected by divine breath. You'll hear what she said, not in anger, but as evidence. God is revealing truth, not to destroy her, but to protect you. The betrayal was small, but small knives cut deep when inserted slow. Let her go. Don't hold the wound. Heaven will handle what her mouth could not. There was a moment just days ago when something was being finalized. A document, a file, a digital click that would have changed the atmosphere of your life. But right before it was sent, the file failed. The screen froze. The connection dropped. The sender cursed the glitch. But what they didn't know, Archangel Michael stepped in. With a single command, the angels rerouted the data. What was meant to trap you will now become a trap for them. Because when heaven protects, it doesn't always shout. Sometimes, it just blocks the upload. You felt watched lately. And not just physically, spiritually. That heavy feeling in your chest when you enter a room. The glance that lingers too long. The sudden cold air when you speak. You're not wrong. There are eyes on you. But here's the twist. They're not all human. Some are watchers, sent from heaven, not to scare you, but to measure the terrain. Because something holy is about to land, and heaven is making sure the ground is clear. You are being surrounded, not by fear, but by fire. Someone tried to manipulate your connection with someone in authority. A middleman, a whisperer, a snake dressed as support. They spoke for you, but not on your behalf. They tried to shape your future behind your back. But their words are now backfiring. Because the person they tried to deceive, they saw through it. Not because of evidence, but because of discernment. Heaven touched their ears, and they heard the lie for what it was. Now, their curiosity is shifting into protection for you. Scene shift. Your name in a sealed room. Your name was recently brought up in a sealed room. A room you weren't invited to. A room where decisions are made. Promotions discussed. Opportunities filtered. And someone tried to write your name out. But they didn't know. Your name was already sealed in the spirit. You don't need a seat at the table when you were born to build the room. God is moving your name through places your feet haven't walked yet. That's why you felt unsettled, because your name is being whispered where your spirit is being summoned. This is your final warning, not to scare, but to prepare. There is a moment coming. It will feel ordinary at first. Just another day, another conversation, another decision. But it won't be. It will be the pivot. One choice, one yes or no that alters everything. That's why heaven is so loud right now. That's why this message found you. You must stay sober in spirit. Don't move too fast. Don't answer out of emotion. Listen, pause, discern, because you've come this far. You've walked through silence, through shadows, through rooms that never spoke your name aloud but whispered it behind closed doors. And yet, you're still standing, still chosen, still marked. But something's different now. Because you're not just surviving anymore. You're awakening, and heaven is no longer whispering. It's declaring. Scenes shift, the broken ceiling and the rising floor. For years, they tried to put a ceiling on your life. They gave you rules that weren't biblical, standards that weren't spiritual. They said, stay humble, but what they really meant was stay small. But the time for shrinking is over, because the ceiling has cracked, and as it collapses, the floor beneath you is rising. You're being elevated by divine force, not because of perfection, but because of preparation. All the suffering, it was never punishment. It was shaping. It was heaven training you in silence for a position that could only be filled by one name, yours. There's an inheritance written in your name. No, not just financial, spiritual, a gift, a mantle, a voice, a role, a kingdom assignment. But someone tried to forge the signature. They thought if they moved quickly, they could claim it. So they mimicked your voice. They used your story. They played dress up in your destiny. But the oil didn't flow. Because heaven doesn't pour on imposters. And now the falsehood is breaking down. You don't need to reclaim it. It's already returning to you. God says, what I assigned to you can never be permanently stolen. It may be delayed, but it will always return with interest. There is someone who has tried to sit on your throne, not a literal one, but the seat of influence that was meant for you. They tried to convince others they were you, that they carried the light, that they had the word. But their fruit couldn't lie, and now their seed is shaking. The ground beneath their feet is cracking, because the real has entered the room. You, and when the real arrives, the fake trembles, because heaven does not crown copycats. God is not just preparing a table. He's handing you the tools to build one. You're not here to be invited anymore. You're here to establish. The kingdom you carry is not built with brick and stone. It's built with obedience, boldness, and brokenness healed by glory. Heaven says the silence was not abandonment. It was construction. Every tear was watering your roots. Every no was shaping your direction. Every betrayal was making room for truth. And now, the harvest is ready. The oil is warm. The angels are aligned. The space has been cleared. It's your turn. Scenes shift. Final exposure of spiritual assassins. There's a person who smiled in your presence, but cursed your progress. A Judas with soft hands and quiet manipulation. They weren't sent to love you. They were sent to study your weakness. But here's the problem for them. You healed while they watched. And now, they don't recognize you anymore. Because the wounds they counted on, closed. The softness they preyed on, transformed into strength. They will try again, one final time. But this time, they'll be exposed before they finish the sentence. Heaven is issuing a divine gag order. Their mouth will be silenced, and their weapon will collapse. Because you're no longer unguarded. You walk with fire now. You've been under construction, but now you're under command. The assignment is no longer a prophecy. It's a present reality. You're being sent to speak, to lead, to build, to reclaim territory your family lost, to establish altars in places where idols have ruled. You're a breaker, a builder, a blueprint for what God can do with a surrendered vessel. You're not weak. You are wired for warfare. You're not random. You're royalty trained in shadows. The man assigned to your destiny? He's near, not just geographically, but spiritually. He's felt the fire, the call, the shift, and the chains that held him are now dust under divine decree. He was delayed by confusion. He was stalled by sabotage. But now, he's moving with clarity. You will recognize him not by his words, but by his spirit, because his spirit will echo your own. Two frequencies finely tuned. Two hearts made ready by heaven. This is not romance. It's recommissioning. Together, you will unlock realms the enemy tried to bury. Together, you will walk in prophetic union. The moment you've been sensing, it's now. Not coming. Not developing. Not someday. Now. Archangel Michael stands at the gate. Sword pointed down, not in war, but in completion. The war has ended. The gates are opening, and your name has been called aloud in heaven. God says, rise. The crown was always yours. Now walk in it. You will walk into rooms that used to ignore you, and they will go silent when you speak. Not because of ego, but because of glory. You carry a sound that hell fears and heaven honors. Your life is the proof that God rewrites stories. That light breaks curses. That purpose rises from ruins. This is the last time you shrink. This is the last time you beg for a seat. You are not forgotten. You are not finished. You are not a mistake. You are the vessel. You are the voice. You are the verdict. And heaven has already ruled in your favor. Now walk.